Hello there, welcome to news from Nepal television. I am Smituki Singh Tamang. Let's begin with the top stories for this afternoon. Meet of House of Representatives currently underway. Legislative Management Committee also meeting to discuss citizenship bill. 76 parties applied to contest under the proportional representation system. Name list of those parties to be made public today itself. Libya's interim PM stresses the need for elections following Saturday's deadly clashes, over 30 killed. And Nepal, facing Kenya in fourth match of T20 International Series, maintains 2-1 lead in the 5-match series. Welcome back. Now the news in detail. The meeting of House of Representatives is currently underway. The lower house is discussing the bill on the amendment to Enforce Disappearance Inquiry, Truth and Reconciliation Commission Act 2014. The bill was presented in the House of Representatives on Tuesday last week. Law Minister Govinda Prasad Sharma is to present the bill for consideration in the HOR today. The main opposition, CPNUML, has been protesting the process after the government tried to pass the bill related to the provision of transitional justice through the fast track. Meanwhile, victims of the conflict, human rights defenders, as well as national and international human rights organizations have been objecting to some of the provisions in the bill. They have been demanding revision of the list of serious human rights violations. Last week, Law Minister Sharma presented the revised bill in the House, claiming that the government was going to advance the bill, which was brought to provide relief to the families of those killed and injured during the Maoist armed conflict and to maintain harmony in the society. A meeting of the Legislation Management Committee is being held today to discuss a bill to amend the Nepal Citizenship Act 2063. The meeting is scheduled to be held today at 12 noon. The National Assembly sent the citizenship bill returned by President Bidya Devi Bhandari with a 15-point message for reconsideration to the Legislation Management Committee for discussion. In yesterday's meeting, Home Minister Bal Krishna Kand presented a proposal to be sent to the Legislation Management Committee, which was unanimously approved by the Assembly. The bill will now be discussed quarterly in the Legislative Management Committee. The subject committee will pass the bill and submit it again to the Assembly along with the report of the committee. The next meeting of the National Assembly has been called for September the 1st. Election Commission said 76 parties have applied to contest elections under the proportional representation system. 8 of the 84 parties registered for first-past-the-post system did not file the application to contest under proportional representation. In provinces, 67 parties in Madhya Province, 63 in Province 1, 66 in Bagmati, 60 in Gandaki, 62 in Lumbini, 57 in Karnali and 50 parties in Sudur Paschim provinces have applied to contest the election under proportional representation. The Commission will publish the final list of parties approved for proportional representation on August 31, and 15 days will be given to submit the closed list for the same. Meanwhile, the task to updating the voters' name list targeting the November 20 House of Representatives and Provincial Assembly elections from Sunday. Time for a break now. We shall be back with more updates. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Now the remaining updates. A separate investigation team has been formed from the Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal Police and the Human Trafficking Investigation Bureau to investigate the human trafficking under the cover of visit visa from Tribhuvan International Airport. The investigation has started after 92 women and 84 men were found to be assembled to send abroad misusing visit visa. The police has preliminary concluded that human trafficking is being done institutionally rather than secretly from the airport. Most of the passengers returned from the airport are suspected to be taken to Iran and Iraq via Kuwait. In this regard, the police have started taking statements from the passengers. According to the police, all the documents prepared for the visit visa were fabricated and forged. Police spokesperson Tej Prasad Rai said more details will be released in a few days as a detailed investigation is being conducted in this regard. One of the biggest festivals of the women of Nepal, Haritalika Teej, is kicking off today with the Dar Khane Din. Women today rejoice with delicacies and dance along to prepare themselves for day-long fast dedicated to Lord Shiva. During the second day of Teej, that is tomorrow, women fast and strictly abstain from food and even drinks. On the third day, Teej concludes with the worship of 7 sages, the Sapta Rishis, on the day of Rishi Panchami. It is the worship to the 7 sages for the absolution of all sins. Teej is a Hindu festival celebrated by both married and unmarried women in Nepali community throughout the world. Now the international update. Following Saturday's deadly clashes that took place in the Libyan capital Tripoli, the Prime Minister of the Tripoli-based government, Abdul Hamid Beiba, stressed the need for elections. Militias patrolled nearly deserted streets in Libya's capital Sunday, a day after clashes killed over 30 people and ended Tripoli's months-long stretch of relative calm. The fighting broke out early Saturday and pitted militias loyal to the Tripoli-based government against other armed groups allied with a rival administration that has for months sought to be seated in the capital. Libya has plunged into chaos since a NATO-backed uprising toppled and killed longtime dictator Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. Last month, at least 13 people were killed in militia fighting. Time again for a short break. We shall be back with more updates. Do stay tuned. Back. You're still on English News, and now more updates from Global Front. The Russian Defense Ministry said Sunday that Russian forces had struck a number of Ukrainian defense industrial facilities, while the Ukrainian military claimed they forced Russian forces to retreat in Kharkiv and other directions. Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Igor Konashenkov said the Russian aerospace forces used high-precision weapons to strike the workshop of Madasek Company in the city of Zaporizhia, where Ukrainian Air Force helicopters were being repaired. Russian forces hit an oil storage depot in Dnipropetrovsk that supplies Ukrainian forces in Donbas with fuel. Russian forces also used high-precision weapons to strike a Ukrainian reserve training center in Slovyansk. The Ukrainian army also repelled several Russian attacks in the direction of Bakhmut. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesman Nasser Kanani on Sunday said the era of United States unilateralism and hegemony has come to an end, and whether the Iranian nuclear deal can be reached depends on the political will of the U.S. side. Kanani said in an exclusive interview with China's Central Television CCTV that regarding the progress of negotiation on the Iranian nuclear issue, Iran is currently reviewing the U.S. proposal on the final text of the Vienna talks on the Iranian nuclear deal. Regarding the recent illegal military operations launched by the U.S. in Syria, Kanani said the presence of U.S. forces in Syria has no legal basis, and the so-called targeting of Iranian targets is even more absurd. Kanani noted the hegemony and unilateralism of the U.S. are the main factors behind the turbulence of regional nations over the years. Shares in Asia have fallen after the head of the U.S. Central Bank said it would continue to raise interest rates to tackle soaring prices. Jerome Powell warned that the Federal Reserve's policies will cause some pain to households and businesses. Higher interest rates make borrowing more expensive for individuals and companies, which could slow economic growth as well as inflation. Japan's Nikkei 225 index was 2.8% lower in Monday morning trade in Tokyo, Tokyo. Elsewhere in the Asia-Pacific region, the Kospi in South Korea and Australia's ASX 200 were both down by more than 2%, while the Hang Seng in Hong Kong was 0.8% lower. More updates lined up at the other side, but before that, let's take a look at what we have coming up next. As sea levels rise, low-lying nations like the Maldives face an existential crisis. Its land stands at an average of 1.5 meters above sea level, meaning climate change spells trouble for the entire country. These sandy shores and the communities that call them home face a dangerous threat: climate change. The Maldives is a nation of 1,200 islands scattered across 90,000 square kilometers of the Indian Ocean. For the Maldives, the loss of reefs and the marine life they support would be devastating. According to government officials, 71% of the population relies on the ocean as their primary source of income. The world faces a battle to save them before entire islands and communities disappear beneath the oceans. Now, the sports update. Nepal is playing against Kenya in the fourth match of the five-match T20 International Series. Nepal has taken a 2-1 lead in the five-match T20 International Series against Kenya after winning the third match by 4 wickets Sunday. Nepal won the first match on Thursday by 5 wickets, while Kenya won the second match on Friday. Hardik Pandya led India to a dramatic final-over win over Pakistan in the side's opening match of the Asia Cup. With India chasing 148 from 20 overs, Hardik hit the fourth ball of the final over for 6 to seal a 5-wicket win. The all-rounder struck 3 fours in the 19th over to reduce the equation from 21 runs from 12 balls to 7 from 6. Before Ravindra Jadeja was bowled at the start of the last over. Hardik finished 33 not out from 17 in reply to Pakistan's 147 all-out. It was the great rivals' first meeting since the T20 World Cup last autumn, an encounter Pakistan won by 10 wickets. And before we say goodbye, the reminder of our top stories. Meet of House of Representatives currently underway. Legislative Management Committee also meeting to discuss citizenship bill. 76 parties applied to contest under the proportional representation system. Name list of those parties to be made public today itself. Libya's interim PM stresses the need for elections following Saturday's deadly clashes, over 30 killed. And Nepal, facing Kenya in fourth match of T20 International Series, maintains a 2-1 lead in the five-match series. That's it for this edition of NTV News. Thanks for staying with us. Goodbye. Namaste.